Hello there everybody. So today we're going to be looking at Support Chronomancer. This is a build that does no damage. It's a build that has very little healing even when you fully spec into the healing aspects of it. So you're probably wondering why the fuck anybody would use a Chrono in this current day and age. The answer to that is it does a shitload of boon strip and it has an enormous amount of crowd control, which can help to set up your group's bombs and it can help to disable the enemy. For your gear, you can go with a mixture of minstrels and givers if you'd like. You can also go with wanderers. Doesn't really matter. The only thing that's important is that you have fairly good tank stats and that you have a fair amount of boon duration. Those are the only requirements, so really easy to gear. You could do it on a budget, no problem at all. For your weapons, again, a lot of variability here. The only important thing is that you have a set that's sword and shield with absorption on it. For your other set, you can go with another sword with focus, you can go scepter focus, or you could go staff. In your traits, the important lines are domination and chronomancer. For domination, you want to go with 3, 1, 1. This is so that every time that you CC somebody, it removes a boon. Every time that you shatter, it removes a boon. All of your shatters inflict vulnerability. You could use either of these, but since you do no damage, it doesn't fucking make a difference. And in Chronomancer, the important traits are going to be delayed reactions, which slows enemy targets. You could take either of these if you so chose. Again, I don't think it really makes a difference. Improved alacrity is probably the best trait for here, just because it allows you to get your skills up much faster, which is more boon, stripping, and more cleansing. And for your last trait here, you can either go with Lost Time to give yourself almost permanent alacrity, or Seize the Moment, which allows you to share out quickness for your team. For the last trait line, there's 3 really great options. I like Illusions because you get an extra shatter, which is more boon strip. You get additional access to quickness, which allows you to get your mantras up quicker when you need them. And really just for Master of Fragmentation. This makes your F3 skill into an AoE daze, and it gives you an extra second on your Continuum Split. And both of those 2 things are probably the most important on this build, so that's why I personally like Illusions. Some other options you can go with are Chaos with 3, 1, 3. This gives you a little bit of stability and a little bit of personal boon output. This gives you a little bit more protection from conditions when you get CC'd. And Master of Manipulation is great for if you're running Illusion of Life. By reducing its cooldown by 20%, you can become a little bit more effective. And in Inspiration, you can take either 1 or 2 here. Feedback allows you to res your friends a little bit quicker. Restorative Mantras gives you a little bit more healing output. Warden's Feedback reduces the cooldown of your focus skills if you're taking focus. And Illusionary Inspiration heals every time that you create a clone, which could be useful if you're using Scepter, just because it has such great clone creation ability. For your utilities, you have some great options here. The only things that I'd say keep for sure are definitely going to be Gravity Well and Null Field. Both are very strong skills. This removes boons from the enemies it targets and heals conditions on any allies. This gives out 15 CCs on every cast, which is really the bread and butter of Chronomancer. For your last 3 here, there's a lot of variability again. You can take Well of Eternity to help out with group cleansing. You can take the Mantra if you're running Restorative Mantras, because you get the lesser power cleanse as well, so you can help to get more conditions cleared that way. Mantra of Resolve is great because it removes 3 conditions from 5 targets in a fairly large area. This is particularly nice if you're fighting groups that are running a lot of Immobilize. This helps to remove that Immobilize quickly and efficiently. And Mantra of Concentration I like purely for the stability access. It doesn't break stun on your allies, it just breaks stun on you, but still 360 radius for 6 seconds of stability is fairly good to have. Some other options here are going to be Phantasmal Disenchanter, which removes 5 boons from 4 targets each, so 20 boons. If you can use that inside of your Continuum Split, you can get 2 of these casts up every time. If you're running Illusions, this also will give you quickness, so you can help to get your CS bomb off quicker. Let's see, some other good options here are Illusion of Life, which allows you to raise 3 of your friends. So on the initial bomb, like 3 of your party members go down, you can res them with this, and so long as that they tag somebody who dies in the next 15 seconds, they'll come right back up fully. Otherwise, they'll just go down again in 15 seconds, and you can hand res them, which is really nice to have feedback for. So some other great stuff that you can use is Veil for your group. It allows you to stealth the whole Zerg. You can use Portal for some Portal plays, or Mimic. I would particularly use Mimic only if you're running Illusion of Life, which will allow you to get the skill off twice, 3 times if you're using it with Continuum Split. Otherwise, I wouldn't use Mimic if you're not using Illusion of Life. Alright, so let's take a look at some weapon skills. Your sword, you have access to a personal defensive cooldown, evades all attacks for 1 second. You have access to Illusionary Leap, which has a follow-up skill that immobilizes 3 targets. You have, for Scepter, your 3rd auto attack will create a clone, and your 2 skill blocks, evades, and creates a clone. This is particularly nice to use if you're in melee range. You can block and then immediately follow it up with an F3 to get a large area daze. On your staff, you have Chaos Storm, which dazes 5 targets and gives out a fair amount of boons, and Phase Repeat, which is a great defensive cooldown. It leaps you backwards by 1,200 units to help get you out of melee range. On your shield, you have 2 blocks. This will trigger a second blocking skill after the first one expires, so long as you blocked an attack during it. This grants slow, it grants protection, which can help to keep up your alacrity time. 5 is probably the strongest skill on the entirety of Chronomancer's set. This has no target cap, so you can give alacrity to 50 people, quickness to 50 people, and stun 50 people. And so long as you touch that shield on its way back, it lowers the cooldown to 30 seconds, which can be further lowered down to 20 seconds if you can keep up alacrity the whole time. And if you have frenzy sigils, can be lowered even further to 16 seconds. So potentially in the middle of a Zerg fight, you can get this skill off every 16 seconds, and there's no target cap on it. You'll see in some of the gameplay videos exactly how devastating this can be. And last but not least, we have your focus. Not really important. This is the only important skill on here. This is 900 range, but you can gather up 5 targets from an additional 600 range, so 1,500 range total. And the second skill for this will pull everybody from a radius about this big into it. So this is really great to use on a range bomb or on a range spike, so that you can help to group up the enemy and make your bomb even more devastating. Okay, next up we'll take a look at your Chronomancer skills. Your F1 and F2 are really only going to be used for removing boons on enemies in melee range and for giving yourself alacrity per each clone shattered. That's really the only reason to use them, so you want to keep these pretty much on cooldown as often as you can. Your 3 skill is an AoE daze on 5 targets, which removes a boon. Since it's a shatter, it actually removes 2 boons, and if you have the absorption sigil on, this can steal another 3 boons from each of those targets once every 10 seconds. So potentially this could strip 5 boons from each target per clone that you have out. That's really the reason to take illusions, is to get this beefed up. Your F4 is Continuum Split, and this causes all of your skills to reset to the previous cooldown. What's really important to use with this skill is going to be your Shield 5 and Gravity Well. Other than that, whatever else you can cast during that time, fucking do it. It's important that you make sure you have quickness when you use this, so the way that I like to use it is to pop Shield 5. When it almost finishes casting, then you Grav Well and then Null Field. You get the cooldowns back immediately. And it takes a little bit of practice to make sure that you're using this well, but once you get that combo down, it can be really, really strong to use against an enemy group. The important thing with Continuum Split is that you want to use it when whatever skill it is that you're starting with, which is generally going to be either Shield 5, Gravity Well, or Phantasmal Disenchanter if you're using it. You want to use it right before it finishes casting, because then it'll still reset the cooldown while giving you the maximum amount of time available to cast skills during Continuum Split. Alright, we'll take a look at some gameplay videos here, and you can see how varied you can be with your setup for this, depending on what it is that your group needs at any given time. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. I'll be happy to get to them. Thank you.
tasted blood, I forgot how good this was. Oh honey, it's a fucked up world, can't you see the fun in that? Somebody better hold me back. My God, just do it. I'm so done thinking through it, 'cause I got bruises doing something stupid. Oh honey, it's a fucked up world, you can bet your life on that. Somebody better hold me back. My God, just do it. I'm so done thinking through it, 'cause I got bruises doing something stupid. Oh honey, it's a fucked up world, can't you see the fun in that? Somebody better hold me back. Oh baby, that was quite a punch, can somebody check my pulse? It's been a minute since I tasted blood, I forgot how good this was. Oh honey, it's a fucked up world, can't you see the fun in that? Somebody